Yo, once again it's on. Back at you one more again, Real Kens TV in the house like kitchen sinks. Hopefully you like the video. Feel free to comment, share, subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. And be sure to hit that post notification. So anytime I bring you this action and this heat, guess what? You're amongst the first to receive it. Now with no further ado, let's get into this afternoon's video, if you will. It's Saturday afternoon. I'm about to go into work. And I had some things on my mind. And I said, you know what? I must share these thoughts that I'm having on my mind. Been a few days since I dropped the video or whatnot. You know, I guess I had to refresh. And, you know, you can't always just come with videos because the stories have to be genuine. And you have to genuinely be in that mode because I need you all as viewers, as friends, as my family, my YouTube family, to receive the energy that I'm giving off. Pause, though. So, initially, I was going to talk about Fleece Johnson in regard to the statement that he made to where he said the majority of guys that serve prison time end up being gay. I did a part 1 to the video, and at the time I didn't realize it was just going to be a part 1. I was going to make it a part 2 today. However, I just found myself watching Fleece Johnson over at Hustler Spirit 502. If you're not familiar, go check him out over there. Nice channel, you know what I mean? I found myself watching Fleece Johnson live, and I got to thinking. So once I got to thinking, my mind started to, to really just go in different places, if you will. I was like, we're going to save that video. Perhaps I'll do it later on this evening, or this morning, rather, once I get off work. But it took me back to the Vladtv situation. If you all not familiar with Vladtv, a lot of people are, but if you're not familiar with him, just Google him. He has a large platform. He has, I think, close to 6 million subscribers on his platform. He's a huge figure, if you will, in this podcast game, YouTube game, whatever you want to, however you want to address it. So he has a whole lot of celebrities that come onto his platform, and he gets millions of views, as one would expect. He also has former gangsters that essentially have become celebrities. They have a name, they have a household name, so he has them on their platform. So I was watching one of his interviews that he was given. It was a few months ago. And he was talking about Fleece Johnson. Now, I have made a video about this, but I'm going to go into deeper detail on this particular video. He told a story about, I believe he was talking to Lil Boosie at the time, I believe. And he told a story about how he was supposed to have Fleece Johnson on his platform. But something just wasn't sitting right with him, so he did a deeper investigation, and he found out that, supposedly his paperwork, that Fleece Johnson was in prison, literally unlawfully having sexual intercourse or sexual activity with other inmates. Now, the part that gets me is when he said unlawfully. Fleece has admitted to this, that he was doing these things. He's very outspoken about the things that he was doing in prison. But one thing Fleece Johnson was adamant about, I never took it. Anything that I ever did with someone, it was always consensual. Well, Vladtv feels, no, it wasn't consensual, because I have the facts, I have the paperwork that shows you was in here doing the most. Urban Dictionary. Doing the most is basically just you was doing too much. You was going overboard. You know, doing things that maybe you shouldn't have been doing. Fleece came back and refuted that by saying, well, if I was doing these things, why was I never charged with anything sexual? All of my charges, all the time that I picked up, I believe Fleece came in with a 12-year sentence. Ended up with 40. So his additional 28 years that he picked up was all assaults on other inmates and on staff. So if I was doing the most, as far as taking it, you know, and people weren't willing, to say the least, then how come I'm not charged with anything as far as a sexual crime? How come I'm not, you know, a registered sex offender? Vladtv's lying. These are the words of Fleece. Now, one would say, okay, Fleece, you're contradicting yourself. Yeah, I'm going to break it all the way down to you. One would say, Fleece, you're contradicting yourself because on MSNBC, I believe that's what it was, NBC, you said, if I want you, I'm going to have you. And ain't nothing you can do about it. So that would lead one to believe, yeah, you was in there, you know, you was in there taking it. If you come on national television and say, if I want you, I'm going to have you. And he also told the reporter, if I was a little bit younger, I probably would have grabbed one of y'all's butts. That's what he said. Don't shoot the messenger. That's what he said. So I definitely understand how people could look at that and be like, okay, Fleece, I seen the interview. I seen, you know, exactly what was said. My thing is this. We weren't there at Eddyville Penitentiary, State Penitentiary, with Fleece Johnson during those 40 years that he served. So they've actually had people come on to Hustler Spirit 502 platform and speak of Fleece Johnson. I've talked to people that knew Fleece Johnson. I've never heard not one person say Fleece Johnson was in there raping dudes. And I've talked to a few people. Everybody that I've spoke of as far as Fleece, yeah, he was doing his thing, which I don't condone. But hey, to each his own. I don't condone it, and I don't support it. But at the same time, the truth is the truth. And they all said, man, Fleece was about what he was, you know, what he's talking about. Yeah, he was about that. Ripping out toilets, whooping guards, challenging guards, you know, throwing feces on guards, throwing hot water on guards, correction officers, administrative, nurses, it didn't even matter. Fleece was not to be fooled with. But see, I think a lot of times now, at this point, he's older. I don't know how old he is, maybe in his 60s, I'm not sure. So that figure that he once was, when he was younger and in the penitentiary and the things that he was doing, I think people kind of look at him like, man, he's just a, you know, harmless old man now. A lot of these cats, man, would never said anything crazy. The way that they talk now, they never would have said anything crazy to Fleece Johnson 30 years ago. Hell, 20 years ago. So when I look at the Vladtv situation and he decided that he didn't want to do an interview with Fleece Johnson because of the paperwork that he allegedly got and his integrity was at stake. I'm not going to bring an individual that was raping people, that didn't have a chance to, these are the words of Vlad, didn't have a chance to defend themselves. And now I'm allowing this person to have a platform to speak and get across to millions of people that will watch this interview. Because a Fleece Johnson interview with Vladtv will break the internet, in my humble opinion. So Vlad goes on to say all money's not good money. I understand, the stakes. I understand that what I could potentially make off of this, but no. Well, yeah, it's easy to say that because you're already a multi-millionaire. So yeah, you would make a lot of money, but guess what? It's not that big a deal to you. But it's not really about the money. My problem that I have with Vladtv is you give everybody else an opportunity to come onto your platform and tell their story. Serial killers. Serial killers. You got all these rappers that, brag about, the bodies that they had and the body. Hell, even Lil Boosie. The guy was charged with multiple murders. Multiple murders. Now, he went on to beat it at trial, but the point that I'm making is you allow everybody else. But then when it comes to Fleece, now your integrity is at risk. Now you're concerned with, how you're going to be looked upon by bringing Fleece Johnson to your platform. Fleece has denied any wrongdoing. Now, when I say wrongdoing, meaning the allegations, the Boondock Show, cartoons and things like that. People have made characters and memes and all type of jokes about him or what have you. He's denied being a rapist in prison. Yeah, I did my thing. He did his thing. I didn't do my thing. I'm speaking in the form of matter of fact, let's rewind it. Let's now for y'all that don't know, when I do that's my rewind, because at this point I'm not editing. So when if I say something that just doesn't sit well with me, or if I mess up, I'll just manually rewind. You see what I'm saying? But Fleece, not me, Fleece. He did his thing. Fleece did his thing. He's very outspoken about it. He's very graphic about it. Oftentimes he's too graphic about it. There's a such thing as TMI. Yeah, TMI doing the most. Both of those things are, hand in hand, neck and neck. Some things we just don't know. We don't need to know and don't want to know. So if you have this individual that's so outspoken to where he's going to go down to every single detail, and we sit here and we listen and we laugh and Fleece is crazy, man. But then when he tells you, hey, anybody I ever did it with, they did it because they wanted to do it. Let me tell you something about prison. Even if you have an individual that says, say you owe them some money, and your family doesn't send the money doesn't come, you thought that you was going to have the money, but it never came. Well, if you're a sick individual, and you hear this oftentimes, you got something to pay with, you going to pay with something. Yeah, you got something. You got something to pay with. Well, in that particular case, you got options. Because when a person tells you that, they're telling you and they're giving you a warning. Hey, you don't pay my bread, you don't pay my money, my Skrilla, my cornbread and cabbage. Urban Dictionary, it all means money. Currency, my capital. Is that, for some of you all that may not understand the lingo, my capital. you have a decision to make at that point. Because if you owe a person money, you don't have to stay on that yard. That person has given you warning in advance. You have something to pay with. So at that point, you can check in. Checking in basically just means you go to the staff. Hey, man, I fear for my life. I need to be, protected. Get me out of here. You stay on the yard. Deal with what comes with, with call the person's bluff or see if the person's bluffing. Or try to get that person before they get you. Those are the three options that you have. But never, ever do you have to be like, well, man, I owe Fleece Johnson $26. That's a lot of money in prison. $26 in prison, $6 in prison. Any amount of money in prison is a lot of money. Well, I owe Fleece Johnson $26. We're just going to use $26 as an example. I guess I got to, pull my pants down and let him do his thing. No. If you did that, guess what? You wanted to do it. You was intrigued. You was curious. You wanted to know what it was like. You wanted to know. You wanted to hear that sound of Fleece Johnson singing that Luther Vandross to you in your ear. You wanted to hear that. You wanted to know that feeling. Nobody forced you to do anything. So that's for the people that would say, oh, well, he said, man, if I want you, I got to have you. Yeah, but he's not physically, come here, get these pants down. Get over here. It's not physically going down like that. At least in my opinion and from what I've been told. I'm in the same state. I'm in Kentucky. I've never been to Eddyville State Penitentiary. Other than a scared straight program. Back in the 80s. But I've never served time at Eddyville. Just going off of, like I said, listening to Fleece straight from the horse's mouth and other individuals who have served time at Eddyville State Penitentiary. So I just feel like Vladtv, man, is just, he selects who he wants to deal with, which, don't get me wrong, is his platform. So it's his right to do so. He can interview whoever he wants to interview. But I just find it kind of odd that he would be like, well, I don't want to interview Fleece because my integrity and but you interviewing all these rappers that are so-called gangsters and shot 17 people in the face and I wet your shirt up and all these guys, you'll bring on your platform and continuously bring them on your platform. But Fleece, he don't get an opportunity to tell his side. Yeah, he has a YouTube channel, Hustler Spirit 502, out of Louisville, Kentucky. You know what I mean? But, and this is absolutely no disrespect to anybody. Them guys over there do a great job. Big lead. They eventually gonna get there. But when you're dealing with Vladtv, as far as the volume and amount of people that are actually gonna see Fleece, allow him to come on and tell his side. For all the individuals that have this perception of Fleece, allow him to come on and address you and address some of the allegations or the things that you say that you have. Because Big Lee, man, Big Lee is the gentleman that interviews Fleece, and he's Fleece Johnson's agent, as Fleece would say. They pulled the prison records. Every prison record, every write-up, every disciplinary action towards or against Fleece, anything that you can think of, they were able to pull those records. And not one of them said anything about him forcefully taking, an individual's manhood, to say the least. None of them. Not one record. So why wouldn't Vlad allow Fleece to come on his platform and tell his side, tell his story? You let Sammy the Bull come on and tell his story. You let serial killers come on your platform. Serial killers. Fleece ain't never been accused of killing nobody. He had a robbery when he was a young kid and turned a 12-year sentence into 40 because he didn't take no stuff from them guards, them COs. And I could see how you would turn a 12 into a 40. Because them COs really, really get beside themselves. A lot of them do. Not all of them. Some cool COs out there. But a lot of them get beside themselves. So you got an individual like Fleece. Nah. My respect means more to me. So yeah, this will stop me from going home. But guess what? You are going to respect me. So, he did what he felt like he needed to do as far as how he addressed the guards, the correction officers. I like to call them guards. I don't refer to them as correction officers. What are you all correcting? I'm not correcting a damn thing. You just in there thinking you tough. Half of them got beat to death. They get up smiling and wiping their mouth off, blood on their mouth. They, because they're happy that you hit them, assaulted them. Because guess what? They won. You get more time. And you go do a year or two in the hole. So they're happy about that. So yeah, Fleece, he definitely extended his stay tremendously. But anything else outside of that is documented. That's what he said, is documented. So yeah, just in my opinion, man, Vlad should have, Fleece on. And again, it's Vlad's net, it's his platform. Do whatever he wants to do. Have whoever he wants to have on there. So I don't, knock that. But in a sense, I do knock it. For the simple fact that you're having everybody else on there. Every other week, it seems like Lil Boosie's on there. You got dudes that have been federal informants that are on there. You got guys that have been convicted of murder. Now, I can't think of the guy's name off the top of my head, and I hate the fact that, because I didn't even realize I was going to make this video, but I want to say he's out of California. He's a white dude. He was convicted of so many different murders. And I'm going to get his name, and I'm going to come back to you all about that. And Vlad had him on his show. They did nice numbers or whatever. Well, look up, the dude's charged with murder again. After he did all those murders, he did a long time. He didn't do as much time as Fleece. But there was no problem to have him on your platform then, Vlad. It was no problem to have a admitted convicted serial murderer on your platform. But Fleece can't be on your platform to tell his side, to tell his story. To tell his story about, when he was on the news, he said essentially what they wanted him to say for views and ratings. Because guess what? He felt as though he was never getting out of prison. So yeah, I'm going to say what you all want me to say. I'm going to let you all clown me, make fun of me or whatever. I ain't never getting out. But really, when I really think about it, I'm sure that he didn't know that it was going to go to that level of clowning him and the memes and making fun and the jokes and the cartoons. I'm sure that he didn't even really know that. He just said, people wanted him to say. I'm sure that he got something out of it. See, in prison, man, the most minute of things means a lot. So them people could have said, listen, we're going to give you a steak dinner. You're going to take that. A lot of times, you're going to take that. Out here on the streets, you just go get your steak dinner. It's not that big of a deal. But in prison, a steak dinner, hot and ready, just the smallest of things. Ranch dressing for your salad. Very, very big deal. Very big deal. Hot sauce. Things of that nature. So yeah, I definitely believe Fleece when he says that they kind of set me up, and I didn't really realize what this was going to be about. Now, did Fleece help his cause by saying some of the things that he said? Absolutely not. Nobody put a gun to his head. Nobody made him say those things. Oftentimes, man, Fleece, we laugh. He does his interviews. We crack up laughing. I'm not even going to lie. He did an interview last week, or earlier in the week, rather. I was laughing so hard, I literally had to pull over. He was talking about, if he ever met Luther Vandross, at the time Luther Vandross was alive. How he would sing to him. So I was laughing so hard, like I couldn't continue to drive. I had to literally pull over, laughing. One thing about Fleece Johnson, and I've never met the man. Like I said, we from the same state. I've never met him. He's very, very intelligent. The man's read a whole lot of books. He has a whole lot of knowledge. So he's entertaining. He's funny, but he's intelligent just as well. Far from a dummy. Far from a sandwich short of a picnic. If y'all didn't get that, I'm going to say it again. Far from a sandwich short of a picnic. You might have to think about it a couple minutes, then you'll realize what I'm talking about. The man, very, very knowledgeable about a lot of different things. Now, somehow, some way, no matter what Fleece is talking about, ultimately the conversation is always going to come back to booty. Somehow, some way. But that's just Fleece. You know what I mean? That's him. I don't condone it. I don't talk like that. I don't think like that. I don't speak like that. But he does. So when you tune in to watch Fleece, this is what you get when you watch Fleece Johnson. You know what I mean? Hustler Spirit 502, man. Y'all check him out if you're not already familiar. But yeah, Vlad, I got to hit you with the, you wrong, Vlad. You wrong. You dead wrong, Vlad. Let that man come on your platform and tell his story. Tell his side. And if you wrong, truly wrong, apologize. Apologize for going on your platform knowing that millions of people tune in and saying that you have the paperwork that proves that Fleece Johnson was sexually assaulting inmates during the time he was incarcerated. Because how's it that you have the paperwork, but Big Lee pulled all the paperwork, all his prison records? It didn't say anything in there about anything that you alleged. Fleece should sue the hell out of you. I don't know. I know you got some big time attorneys. You're a multi-millionaire, so maybe perhaps I don't know what's going on with that situation. It's not my business, so I shouldn't even speak on that. That's pretty much what I wanted to address this afternoon, man. Nobody's perfect. I understand people, they feel creepy when they watch Fleece Johnson's interviews. But the fact of the matter is, the things that he explains, it goes on in prison. I want to acknowledge it in your mind, accept it in your mind, but those things, there's a million Fleece Johnsons. Maybe not his demeanor and attitude and exactly how he is per se, but the mentality, like there's people way, way, way worse than Fleece Johnson. And throughout these prisons, you got dudes, man, that's knocking you out, taking it. Ain't no rap. Like Fleece said, dudes, deadlifting 500 pounds, squatting 500, 600 pounds, bench pressing 500 pounds, shoulder press behind the neck, 315, military presses. Been locked up for, 15, 20 years, gorillas. Absolute gorillas. Now, I'm not saying all dudes like that. I'm just using that as an example, if you will. You got some guys like that. come right up to you, man, pick the perfect opportunity, knock you straight out and take it. Those are the real predators. That was literally taking it. Dudes got knives, man. Three or four of them. Sometimes it's one, sometimes it's two, sometimes it's three or four. Man, prison, it goes down. And he was in a prison back then. People joke about Eddyville now because they say a lot of people that, check-ins, which means protective custody, that's where they go to now. Supposedly Eddyville's not the way that it used to be. Eddyville, that's where death row is, home of death row. Like I said, Google Eddyville State Penitentiary, the home of death row, maximum security prison. I believe it's the oldest prison in Kentucky, and if it's not, it's one of them. I know it's an old prison. I reserve the right to be wrong, but I know that it's a very old prison in Kentucky. And back when Fleece was doing time in the 70s and 80s, early 90s, you didn't want to go to Eddyville. You did not want to go to Eddyville. Real Kens TV. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Feel free to comment. Definitely share. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. Be sure to hit that post notification. So anytime I bring you this action, this heat, guess what? You're amongst the first to receive it. I'm dropping my videos, and it's like people are catching on late. Got to hit that post notification. You see what I'm saying? I can't grow without you all. For you all that support me, have been supporting me from day one, I definitely 100% appreciate you. I'm overwhelmed as far as, the love and support that I do receive. So I appreciate each and every one of you. But I need you all to help me help myself. And not just myself, but to get this message out to these youth out here, to these youngsters, because they need to hear this. They need to hear it. They won't hear it if you don't share my videos and if you don't hit that post notification. Real Kens TV. Guess I got to get in here and do some work now. It's about that time. So I catch you all on the next one. And I'll probably drop another one this evening when I get off about the original story that I originally wanted to bring you. Real Kens TV. We out.